Welcome to the Soundtrack Exchange, where my co-host Christelle and I exchange songs from movies, video games and television soundtracks, and then chat about them. How about that?
Each episode, Cameron and I will give each other a song to listen to and talk about the details, the history, and the reasons why we think our chosen tracks are so awesome. So buckle up and let's get exchanging.
Hi Christelle, how are you?
I'm well, thank you.
This is episode 5 of the show. What are your thoughts thus far?
Of the show? I was going to say, I'm so excited about this particular episode.
Why is that?
I don't know. I just am like excited to talk to you about our songs and what I discovered about our songs and stuff.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, well, do you want to go first or will I?
It doesn't matter.
I want to discuss your song first.
Okay.
Which is the Loki Green Theme by Natalie Holt. Oh, by the way, let's actually tell people the theme of today's show.
Oh, yes.
You. This was your idea, so you take the lead there, Christelle.
The theme of today's show is female composers.
Awesome.
Yeah. I think most industries are male dominated, and I think the score composer / music industry is very much the same in that, like, when you think of composers and like movie scores, you think of John Williams, you think of Hans Zimmer, you think of all of these men, which they are great men, very talented. They do great work.
Solid work.
I feel like it's not until pretty recently that I have discovered some of my favorite female artists as well. So I wanted to kind of dive into that a little bit deeper. We'll probably do another one of these.
Should.
Yeah, absolutely, because there's so many out there.
Well, it's interesting because I had one that I wanted to choose straight away, and what we have chosen, our two songs are both comic book related, which I think is interesting.
They are, and there's actually a connection between the two.
Oh.
Composeritas?
Composeritas. Composeritas.
Composeritas. That's the title of this. That's the title
a word.
Of this. Yep.
That's a word now. Okay, well, you go first because I want to talk about the Loki Green Theme and Natalie Holt. And first of all, I liked it. It was great. It was short and sweet. I didn't like No, I'll just focus on the music for now because I'm going to get into the TV show. But I thought the music was very good.
Wait,
I
sorry.
did.
Are you about to just say that you watched it and you didn't like it?
Loki was the beginning of the end for me, Marvel-wise. I didn't watch season 2. It's when I started to realise how convoluted things had gotten. And then it was also was it just before Falcon and Winter Soldier, which was not great? Oh, I've hurt your feelings.
No, okay, you're not wrong. Listen, you're not wrong.
Yeah, okay.
When it comes to the beginning of the end. But I will say my counter argument and my own thoughts and feelings towards it was that this was probably one of the last like really, really good ones before it got
wasn't bad.
kind of
It
crazy.
wasn't bad. But it
didn't
definitely
watch season 2?
No.
Oh,
it's the only thing I've watched all the way through. And that was like 2021, 2020, 2021? It's COVID-y.
Okay, we'll get into the TV show, the actual TV show, because I have thoughts and feelings.
Okay. But yeah, I really like the music.
I want to share with you anymore.
No, you do. Well, you're sharing with the audience as well. You know, we're all here. That's when you speak to one, you speak to all.
Yes.
Anyway, but I really liked the music. It was nothing extraordinary. I'm keen to know why you chose that one. But I enjoyed it.
You know, I don't know that I have a specific reason why I chose that song.
Wonderful.
When we first had talked about doing this, one of my favorite female composers is Rachel Portman. And she did I actually don't know that I've ever seen any of the movies that she did, but, on my different like soundtrack playlists and stuff like that, her work just comes up and it's so beautiful. And so that was who I was going to go with. And then just for some reason, I just have had this Loki theme stuck in my head. And so when we talked about doing this specific theme, it was like the first thing that I thought of was this TV theme. Because I think in my research for other episodes, I've come across Natalie Holt. And so I like vaguely remembered like, oh, she's a woman. She composed Loki. And then when I looked it up, I was like, oh, heck yeah.
Yeah.
We're going to do this.
What else has she done?
She's done so much. So I'll kind of go into her background. So she's quite young. She's only 42. She trained at the Royal Academy of Music, which is super cool, before going on to study at the National Film and Television School. But she had a career as a classical violinist, which I think you can... Sure. On the roof. I don't know. I don't know.
Trying at a joke there.
I don't know. I feel like you can tell her love of violin
Defo.
in the Loki Green Theme, because I think there's like just she used the violin track in such a cool way. Anyway,
yes.
So she had a career before composing and writing music. Classically trained violinist. She was part of. Okay, so I surely this is not the wrong way to pronounce this, but Raven, it's like capital R-A, capital V-E-N quartet. They played at the 2012 London Olympics, the closing ceremony.
Wow.
So that's pretty cool. She's done a lot of BBC work. She is a triple Emmy-nominated Composerita.
She never got there. Composerita, yeah.
But she has won BAFTAs and several awards. She's done quite a lot of collaborating with Martin Phipps, who I'm not super familiar with the name, but he's done a lot of like BBC adaptations, like Victoria and The Crown and different stuff like that. So she has collaborated with Hans Zimmer. She's worked with John Williams, all of that. And fun fact for you, before I say the absolute most fun fact about her, but she won the best score at the Beijing Film Festival for her work that she the music for the film Journey's End that she partnered with your Composerita. And they won
Hildur.
best score. Oh. Yeah, Hildur.
Giving it away. Sorry.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Give it away.
Could be any.
Anyway.
Could be any Hildur.
Any of them out there.
Yeah.
Surely there's lots. So they won.
And what did they do together, my mystery guest and your composer, Rita?
Journey's End.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, you just said that.
Yes, I did.
Fuck. Cool.
Yeah. So that's kind of her background. One of the more like random tidbits of information about her is that she played in the kind of backing orchestra of the finalists for Britain's Got Talent. So in the final of the 2013 Britain's Got Talent, she came on stage and started throwing eggs at Simon Cowell as a form of protest for his dreadful influence on the music business.
Yes. She herself threw eggs.
Incredible. Yeah. She was performing in the backing orchestra of the finalists, Richard and Adam. And during their performance, she walked on stage and threw eggs at Simon Cowell.
Wow.
Which just is such
awesome.
A badass thing to do.
It's very badass.
Yeah. I don't have love for Simon Cowell. He's done stuff for the music industry, I guess, but like, I don't know.
For
he's
his own gain.
He's kind of built his career around just being kind of a not good person. I don't know. And I don't love that. Anyway.
Question about that. So when you said that she was part of the orchestra in Britain's Got Talent, as in like the one that would accompany all of the acts?
Yes.
So she was like an in-house violinist?
I mean, I don't know the extent of her work.
That's great that she egged Simon Cowell, because she definitely got fired. And then went on to be a wonderful composer.
Listen, that was in 2013. She went on... Sorry, I'm looking at her Wikipedia page and they have like a chart of year and then title and then notes. And it's literally 2013, Britain's Got Talent, the egg throwing woman.
Oh, nice. So she was credited. Wonderful.
But she went on to compose several, mostly for television. So that's really cool. She did the music for Obi-Wan Kenobi as well. So she worked with John Williams on that. So clearly the egg throwing incident didn't really hinder her career too much. And
to all those female composers out there,
just is incredible.
We encourage you to maybe throw some more eggs.
Yeah, listen.
You never know.
You never know what can happen. Maybe that's when your career takes off.
Yeah. That's cool though.
That is really cool. Yeah. So,
although Kenobi was also awful, but
I'm not a huge Star Wars person. I only just watched all of the films quite recently in the last few years. So I watched the series, but I don't know that I had the like sentimental ties to it. I do love Ewan McGregor though.
He can do no wrong.
Except apparently Obi-Wan Kenobi. The TV show.
He wasn't to blame, though. It was the story.
Yes, that's part of a larger conversation of like what the actual heck was like. What the heck was Disney Plus doing? Which we can talk a little bit more about.
Its failure as a streaming platform.
Just like what they were doing with churning out so much content. I really think that they kind of bit themselves in the butt a little bit.
They bit themselves in the butt, yeah.
Yeah, but it was all part of Bob Chapek
pushing it.
His whole push to make Disney Plus so successful. And that was what got him in trouble in the end, was that he was like fudging numbers and stuff. And
was he fudging numbers?
Kicked out. Something like that. To the effect of like misrepresenting how successful Disney Plus was.
Yeah.
But as a result of that, they released so much Marvel content, which I think for the average viewer who's not super connected and super into and has the background of comic books, it was a lot. It was a lot of content, a lot of new characters. And I think after Endgame, where we had this like literal 10-year buildup of the entire Marvel Cinematic Universe, for it to then all kind of feel like it was coming to a close, and like all of these different movies and characters and pieces were all coming together, there was this like expectation that was going to happen like again. And it hasn't yet.
They paled in comparison.
They put out so much that no one really, the like multiverse is a thing. And that really started with WandaVision and Loki. And they did that really well. I absolutely hated Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. I hated it so much. One, just because I'm not a horror movie person. And so the like jump scares, I just was so anxious the entire time. But then I also absolutely hated what they did with Scarlet Witch's character. Because like they took one of the only strong female characters and turned her into like the crazy emotional woman who is after her kids. And it drove me crazy. Because
WandaVision was very good. Because that was the first one. That was the first kind of COVID big Disney Plus TV show.
Yes.
I was all there for that. And then
Loki was shortly after. And then
it was
after
good.
that, they did She-Hulk and Moon
Knight. Yeah.
Yeah, and then
Oscar
all
Isaac.
these other ones. I liked She-Hulk.
Did you?
But I did actually.
Yeah.
I like breaking the fourth wall kind of thing. But it's kind of one of those things that these shows and these characters are ones that are not particularly popular. They're not the like Avengers. And so the people that really appreciated the shows were like my husband Josh, who is a comic book nerd.
Shout out to Josh.
And I say that in the most affectionate way because he is my encyclopedia. Everything I know is because
from Josh's mind.
Yes, he has told me. He really liked it because he knows all of these characters and it's like they're finally getting their like shot. But it just as a whole was a lot. This was a very long tangent about
You like the music anyway.
Disney Plus. The music was so good. I am heartbroken that you did not enjoy it, and also that you didn't watch season 2. I think this was one of my favorite series. I think WandaVision and Loki were the two best ones that they churned out in this, like in the last 3 years. But this track in particular is really cool because I think identity is such a big part of this series in that, for those who haven't watched it, the series takes place after Avengers Endgame. And so an alternate version of Loki steals the Tesseract or the Space Stone, and then the movie kind of ends. And so the series picks up with him getting taken by these mysterious people and then brought to this mysterious place. And it's the Time Variance Authority, the TVA. And so they're this like outside of time and space bureaucratic entity that like controls the timeline or whatever. And so he basically is given a choice to either get destroyed because he's not the original Loki. He's just an alternate. He's a variant.
A variant, yeah.
He can agree to help them save the universe, but really like hunt down another Loki variant who's like wreaking havoc, or he can get erased from like the timeline. So of course he chooses to help. And the song is the series is all about like that and his like journey. But I really like how this specific track like encapsulates. Is that it? Represents. Yeah. I don't know.
That's a word.
It's so perfectly Loki in that he's always been such a mysterious kind of mischievous. I mean, he's literally he's the god of mischief. You know, he's always been a trickster and a bit of a menace. And so in the musical line, you hear this kind of, it's whimsical, but in a way that there's like this tinge of danger to it. And that's the like violin track.
Yeah, the high strings.
The high strings, and it's a little unsettling. And I think that perfectly represents him as a character because you never know what side he's on, and you never really know if it's actually him or if it's just his powers of like multiplicity or whatever. I don't know. He can like multiply himself.
Yeah. Nice word.
Thank you.
Multiplicity.
And with identity being such a big thing of like all of these different variants, and then also like who are the TVA? Like who are all these people? There's just such a like, I'm saying like a lot, and I'm so sorry. Just the mysterious air to everything is just really cool.
I agree. It is. It's mysterious and dark, and those strings were very reminiscent for me, which is also another comic book-y thing, but the Penguin and the Batman with Matt Reeves and a gentleman called Mick Giacchino, I think is his name, did the music for those two DC projects, and there's a lot of strings bits.
Which is interesting
well.
that Michael Giacchino was involved in that project because we talked about him last episode of being the like Pixar guy. He does so much Pixar that it's cool that he's getting into comic books. He did a project with Marvel as well. It was like Werewolf After Dark or something like that. But yeah.
Cool.
It's a cool track. It's a cool show. I would encourage you to watch it again.
I will. Did you prefer season 2 to season 1?
You know, I'm going to be totally honest with you. I think I myself listen, I myself need to rewatch these shows because I have gotten used to being able to like watch everything, like binge watch everything. And then Disney Plus decided that when they were going to release TV shows, they were going to do this thing where they release like one episode a week, which is how life was before
the olden days.
Binging.
Yeah.
Except that it makes it really difficult for me to follow storylines.
Because you can't just hammer them out.
Yeah. And so much life happens in between the week that the episode comes out and the next one.
How did society function before Netflix binging, you know?
We were patient. I don't know.
Yeah.
Our attention levels were different.
I don't mind it too much.
It was a good series. And I think the music was really a big part of why I enjoyed it so much. So.
Interesting.
Yeah, watch it
I'm
again.
watching The Penguin at the moment.
Oh, yeah.
With
I've seen lots about that.
Weekly releases. It's just so good. My goodness. I'm just mad about it. Okay, my turn.
Your turn.
So the song I gave you was the bathroom scene.
Yes.
From the
bathroom
Joker
dance.
movie, from Joker 1.
Yes.
And it's by Hildur Guðnadóttir. She is outrageously Icelandic. To the point
you
where
can just tell by the name.
The phonetics, I had to write them down. There's accents on the vowels that I don't even know how to write, like how to scribe.
Yeah.
She's that Icelandic.
Wow.
But, yeah, firstly, what did you think of the song?
It's
chirpy
good.
enough? Chirpy enough, like?
It really cheered me up. No, I literally wrote down as I was listening to it, gorgeous and haunting.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think especially the beginning part is just so, I don't even know.
It's effed up.
Oh, is it really? I mean, you'll have to explain to me what the context of the song, because I have not seen Joker yet.
Yeah. Well, I'll give you I think that it's very kind of haunting but beautiful in its own way because it's playing over the scene where Arthur Fleck, the character, has just committed his first murder.
Oh, okay.
And he goes into this like public restroom. For our non-US listeners, that's a toilet. And he kind of looks at himself in the mirror and starts doing this like interpretive dance, feeling himself, not literally, but like, you know, feeling his own vibe, looking at himself in the mirror and kind of dancing slowly, and this kind of music is playing over. So it's kind of like a sense of him finding himself, or him kind of discovering a little bit of purpose about himself.
Glorious
even though
purpose.
the lad is very mentally ill.
Yes.
So yeah, it's kind of like there's kind of a few tones going on in terms of, yeah, he stood up for himself and committed murder in the process, but he's like, I'm finding myself as well.
Oh, so I kind of like this feeling.
Yeah, like I'm not being a pushover.
I like this new side of me.
Exactly. Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So a bit about the composer herself. She's also 42, which makes sense. Yeah. What an age. She's from Reykjavik in Iceland. She's married to another composer that she's worked with a lot.
Oh, nice.
She did Chernobyl, which is a very successful HBO show that I haven't watched yet.
It was a lot, but
very good.
Very good. Yes. I think I only watched the first few episodes before it just Chernobyl itself, the whole
it's
nuclear
dark.
event is very intense.
But she's a big cellist. So while Natalie is a violinist, Hildur gravitates towards cello, and also this kind of weird instrument that I'd never heard of before, called a haldorophone, which is an Icelandic electric cello. That's what I think it is. Haldorophone with two L's.
A cello-like electronic instrument.
And obviously the Joker soundtrack is incredibly cello-based, kind of giving it that somber, dark tone.
Yeah.
Kind of like Game of Thrones, that featured cello featured a huge amount in the Game of Thrones, because it kind of has that dark, somber, old-fashioned string sound, as opposed to kind of something very high up with the violins. And yeah, I think it was a very interesting piece, because she definitely borrowed a huge amount from Hans Zimmer's Joker. So if you think back to The Dark Knight, the Joker theme is just one note that intensifies and intensifies as the track goes on. It's just kind of this, and it just goes and builds and builds and builds. Do you want me to do that again?
Yes, please.
Yep. And I don't know if that's just a one note that's kind of doing figure eights with the bow, or if it's just kind of a scratchy thing.
Right.
But you definitely hear those kind of tones and that kind of intensive string sound in Hildur's Joker theme as well. So I wonder how much was borrowed and how much wasn't, but it's very, very, very similar. What else was I going to frickin' say?
She also did the second Joker.
She did, and I don't know, I can't really comment on that, because I know that that's more of it's a musical, so songs were written by that. I know Lady Gaga did her own album from that. That's one of the reasons why I really do want to go to see the movie. Is it a good album?
Yeah. I haven't seen the movie, but I have listened to her album.
Yeah, and she's great, and I'm a big Gaga fan. But I think I'd only want to go see the movie because to hear her perform and sing.
Right.
But I wonder how much creative input Hildur had for the Joker 2, when a lot of the musical pieces are made up of other performers and things like that. I don't know if she had like a hand in writing those.
This isn't a tangent. I'm curious if you've noticed this trend recently, because I think I'm
very trendy.
Yeah. It has to do with movie musicals.
Musicals, yeah.
Where they aren't actually explicitly saying that they are musicals. It's almost like they want you to go to see the movie and then be surprised by the fact that it's a musical. Or maybe they're just like trying to hide the fact that it's a musical. I just noticed this quite a bit when they released the movie for Mean Girls. And Mean Girls, which is, the movie is based off of the musical, based off of the movie. Yeah. And so if you didn't know that, you wouldn't have known that it was a musical. And so it did create a lot of controversy around, like, why are they remaking Mean Girls? Well, they weren't. They were making the musical, but they never actually explicitly said that it was a musical. And then same with the color Purple. And then now with Joker, like, I didn't really know that it was a musical. It like makes sense because Lady Gaga is in it, but she's also a really good
Oscar
actress.
Winner.
Yeah, she's a great actress. And so I'm so curious why this is becoming a thing. Like why filmmakers don't want people to know it's a musical. It's kind of, I'm seeing a bit of the same thing happening with Wicked, the Wicked musical coming out.
Mm-hmm.
Where they're not really. Anyway, this has nothing to do with female composers.
No, it's a good point. I think
it's
with
just
the
a
Joker,
trend that I'm seeing that just feels kind of, as a musical lover, it feels kind of frustrating to me. Why?
Well, I think with the Joker too, it was very much advertised off the bat that this was going to be like. I think this was actually a rumor that came around. Like Todd Phillips was like, "I'm going to make a second Joker film, but it's not going to be. It's going to be a musical this time." So I think it was always front and center, but I just think that the movie itself isn't serving a purpose other than trying something new for a sequel to a movie that doesn't need a sequel, and he just didn't pull it off. So it would have been very... He could have either gone down in history as pulling off something awesome, or it would just been a total flop. And unfortunately, it seems like it is the latter. Because while the songs are pretty good, this is all hearsay. I need to go see it. While the songs are pretty good, the movie itself doesn't actually matter. There's no point to it other than just making money, and Todd Phillips just saying, okay, but if I'm going to do it, it's going to be a musical thing. So I think
interesting.
That's... Yeah. And I do get your thing that if something is a surprise musical, that would irk me. Because I don't have anything against musicals, but I want to get myself into a musical mood before sitting down.
What you're signing up for before
Exactly.
you walk into the theater. And so if you think that you're going in to see a superhero movie or, and
Batman
a
just
book
breaks
adaptation
out
or something like
something.
that. And then,
Hildur did win an Oscar for this album as well. She won a lot of things. One of the awards is the Premio Soundtrack Stars Awards. I've never heard of that before, but she won it in the Venice International Film Festival, and also the Golden Globe for Best Original Score. So she was highly decorated for this album as well.
It's really cool. I think it's really cool that these young, 42, if a teenager out there is listening and you're like, 42 is young. No, they're so old. Shut up. It's relatively young. Like when you're thinking about the world of like John Williams and Hans Zimmer and all of these other artists, 42 is fairly young. And I think it's so cool that they are so successful already. Like there's
winning
such
awards,
a talent level.
We've chosen two composers that are at the top of their game as well.
Yeah, and it's really cool to see.
Yeah.
Them be so successful and for them to really be these breakout stars of film, television. I don't think either of them have done any game soundtracks, but...
Not yet.
No, literally, I am wrong. So Hildur collaborated with her husband, Sam Slater, on the game score for Battlefield 2042.
That's very true, yeah.
So I take it back. The breakout stars of film, television, and games.
And video games, which, as our listeners know, are the three pillars that we work with when talking about soundtracks.
The three pillars of this podcast.
Yeah, the three podcast pillars.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Oh, jinx. Yeah, so this was really cool. I think there's definitely a lot more composers that we can talk about. I think it would be really cool to do at some point do a theme on like fairly
obscure.
Yeah. Not really super well known. But then also I think it would be really cool for us to like specifically pick like Hans Zimmer or something like that and talk about our favorites. Favorite iconic
I
tracks,
think we should do that next. And focus on Hans Zimmer because I have lots of thoughts. And that could be a 90-minute one.
Maybe a two-parter.
And I know that we've mutual friends that want to be involved in this conversation as well, but
unless Hans
can make himself available. I'll tell you what, we'll choose Hans Zimmer as the next episode theme, and in the meantime I will reach out to his team, or my team will reach out to his team.
Perfect.
And see if he's in any way available for just a quick chinwag or our favourite Zimmer songs.
Oh my gosh, that would be freaking incredible. The dream.
So yeah, choose your Hans Zimmer song.
Okay, then I know exactly what track I'm going to give you for the next episode.
Okay. All right. Well,
it's one of my favorites.
Great chatting with you. And I wish you well.
I wish you all the best in the world.
I want nothing but good things to happen to you.
Ever had.
I want all your dreams to come true.
Every dream that you've ever had, I wish That was from Into the Woods. Sorry. Okay, bye.
Okay, bye.
Thanks for listening to the Soundtrack Exchange. If you want to listen to the tracks discussed this week or any previously released episode, check out the playlist linked in the show notes. And if you enjoy this podcast, share it with someone you know and leave a review.
Also, if you have some soundtrack themes and topics that Christelle and I should explore, feel free to email us with your suggestions. If it's chosen, we'll be sure to give you a shout out.
Until next time, we out!